Hello everybody and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode number 78. My name is Gareth Evans and today joining me is Mr. Henry, God of the Underworld, Cooper.
Oh, I quite like that one. Being God of the Underworld sounds pretty cool and mysterious.
There you go. So that is obviously in reference to Hades, which Henry has been playing a lot of, apparently, and he will be talking us through it.
So, I'm a little bit late because it came out like 2 weeks ago, but it's so fucking good.
Well, you're the second YouTube commentator to say so. Jim Sterling creamed his pants over it. So I was so close to about getting it, but we'll go into it in just a second anyway. After that, we'll be discussing the PS5 teardown, maybe tearing it down. Discord section after that, which is part one, which is the quiz from Metal Shark. We've got the questions from the followers then. After which we go to the YouTube comments, starting off with the triggered fanboy comment of the week, and then reading some other awesome comments. And then we end up the show with the bad dad joke of the week as usual. So Henry, Hades, what platform have you been playing it on?
I've been playing it on the Switch, which for the most part has been really good, but in perfect timing, I've been playing a lot of my Switch, and then this Joy-Con drift situation comes back in the news because of the mother and son suing Nintendo for $5 million, on top of the existing lawsuit. I mean, the Nintendo are getting a lot of shit because they fucking deserve it. Joy-Con drift is the worst thing in the world, especially because it's, at the moment, on the current Joy-Con I'm using. On one of them, it's completely awful and off the charts, but this one, most of the time, it's fine. And then out of nowhere, he's just like, no, I'm going to fuck off to the left and I'm going to walk right into a trap and kill you in a roguelike game where dying is really important and you die all the fucking time. And it just ruins your day. And it's so frustrating.
Well, I had the problem with mine and I just sprayed some WD-40 into it and it worked and it cleared it. So have you tried doing that?
Did you like rip it apart and do it, or did you just on the stick
just
itself?
pull the trigger pull the stick to the side, spray some WD-40 into it, give it a bit of a shake, wipe it around, and it was good. It's literally just there's just some shit on the element underneath on the connector, and once it's cleared, it's fine. And I was like, is it really that simple? Because I saw the solution online somewhere. Yeah, it's really that bloody simple. It might come back after a couple of months. Spray some more and it's good. So you shouldn't have to do that. It's a workaround. It's a fix. This is a fundamental design problem with the Joy-Con, right?
And they fucking know about it. They know about it. They've even acknowledged it.
Yeah, the fact that bastards. I got to buy some WD-40 is a lot cheaper than buying a new Joy-Con. Let's say that at least. Yeah, definitely try that out, dude. Yeah, man.
It's one of those where I'm like, I really should fix it, but then I'm like, I don't want to rip it apart. Oh shit! I don't want to like unscrew it and then have to put it back together. But if you can literally just spray it on the stick itself as it is, then
down the hole where the stick comes out from.
Well,
spray it in the hole, dude. Spray it in the hole.
Spray that hole, baby. When I will spray my hole, I will hopefully be able to play Hades better because Hades is really fucking good. It's so good, in fact, that at the moment, it's my number 3 on my Game of the Year list so far. So number 1 is Doom Eternal, then Ghost of Tsushima, and then Hades. And they're all very different types of games. And so it's an isometric roguelike dungeon crawler. And my immediate thought when you hear that sort of combination of genres is, oh, great, another one. They're all fucking everywhere. There's so many isometric dungeon crawler roguelikes or like pseudo RPGs and shit. But this one's actually really, really good. And generally, I don't really like roguelikes because by their very nature, they can get very grindy. Like, they're fun for a bit, but because you're supposed to die over and over and over again, lose all your resources or whatever, you've got to start from scratch. But this one's got me.
Yeah, I think sometimes that the roguelike design architecture is sometimes a lazy way for indie developers to just not flesh out their game. It's like, well, I have to build a few metal levels, make it procedurally generated, and then I've got infinite game time. I don't have to build these like long worlds. So I think it's sometimes a crutch that some developers use. But having seen the impressions of this on Jim Sterling's video, it seems like it's more than just the regular roguelike or roguelite, let's call it, because the distinction between those two, before you carry on, is roguelike should clear all your progress every new run. Roguelite means that you can carry some progress or take some resources next for your next run, which makes it ever increasingly easier the more runs that you do.
Yes, yeah, that's the general distinction, at least the way I think of it. I think it's one of those things which I don't think it has an official definition to define it, but yeah, roguelike, you get nothing, and it's really punishing. Roguelite, you get a little bit of something to keep, just a little, so that, yeah, it should get easier. And this is very much in the roguelite wing of the spectrum, because you can keep some stuff, but it doesn't give you a lot. It's mainly, well, I'll get to that. So the game itself is, you are the prince of the underworld. You're not Hades himself. You are Hades' son, whose name is Zagreus. And he is just kind of like a sort of angsty teenager. He doesn't like his dad because his dad's a massive prick. And he just wants to leave. He just wants to leave the underworld. But because he's immortal and you can't leave the underworld, it's supposed to be impossible. But obviously, he's going to fucking do it. Every time you die, you respawn back in the House of Hades and you crawl out of the river of the dead and shrug yourself off and you get back to it. And I think it's got a really good sort of sense of humor about it. Because everyone's kind of a caricature. They're all very exaggerated. So when you speak to people, everything is fully voiced, which is awesome. All the characters are voiced, and they're all well voiced as well. No one sounds like they're half-arsing it, really. They've all got these very bold, bright, cartoony avatars that come up with a text box, and they speak to you, and they're all of the gods are very huge, muscle-bound monsters like you think of the gods are, like Greek statues and stuff. Then all the girls are all very sensual and seductive and all that sort of stuff. But Zagreus just wants to escape because Hades is a prick, and it's got this sense of humor about it because he runs the underworld like a corporation, like a business, and he sat behind his desk for all of eternity, all day, every day, for eternity, doing paperwork, signing people who die from the real world, the mortal world, and come to hell. And he's like, no, you're staying in hell, or you're going to this part of the underworld, or this part of the underworld. This is your punishment for whatever horrific thing you've done.
So he's an administrator, effectively.
Basically, he just does admin.
Secretary.
Yeah. And he's got... So he sits at his desk all day, all the time, and he's got Cerberus next to him, the three-headed dog, who's the, everyone knows... Well, maybe you don't know, but he's the guard of the underworld. He sits at the door, and you've got to go through him if you want to get to the underworld. And you can pet him. Zagreus can speak to him, and because he's a dog, he can't speak. But then the narrator translates what he's saying, but in the most kind of extended way possible. Instead of saying Cerberus nodded to Zagreus, saying you're having a good day. Instead, it's the venerable hound bowed his head in agreement to the honourable prince, and stuff like that. So that's quite fun. And because he runs it like a corporation, like a horrible business, he's got employees. So some of the other characters who knock about in the underworld, there's Achilles, who is was just kind of like a Greek hero character, and he was the one at Troy, an amazing warrior. He hangs about and he helps you, he encourages you, he sort of trains you in the ways of combat and the different weapons and that sort of stuff. There's a character called Dusa, who is basically just Medusa's head, presumably having already been cut off by was it Perseus or Hercules? I think some versions it varies, but one of them. And she's super stressed about everything. She's a cleaner, and she's just a floating head, but she's got the snakes which hold feather dusters and brushes and shit. So she cleans everything. She's got a bit of a crush on Zagreus, but she stresses out and she flies away all the time. It's really silly. And there's Nyx, who's the queen of the underworld. She's sort of like your mother figure, and she's very kind of mystical and witch-like. But they're all completely different. They all look really good in gameplay and in their little cartoon character, because the camera is quite high up, even as isometric kind of games go. It's very kind of lofty, but it still looks amazing because it's very, very stylized, very, very brightly colored. And in terms of combat, there's always loads of shit going on. It's almost too much. The kind of what does Girlfriend reviews call it? Because I think her description of it is really, really good. Diarrhea Christmas lights, that's her term, where it's just explosions of colours and particle effects and just blah all over the screen. That can happen quite a lot. So in terms of the combat, you basically get 3 abilities right out of the gate. You get an attack, which is if you have a sword, you'll swing it normally. If you have a spear, you'll thrust it, you stab it. Then you've got a special attack. So again, if you have the sword, it's like a trick shot slam thing, which does a bit of a shockwave. And the spear, I think you throw it. And then you've got, I think they call it cast, which is basically just a simple ranged attack. You throw It's just sort of like a throwing knife, basically. It's just something simply throw it, and then you can get it back. You have to retrieve it, and that can get upgraded to have more uses, like more. Oh no, I've lost the fucking thing. I
can't see. I can hear you fine. Oh,
there we go.
You come in. Yeah, there you go. You're good.
Yeah. So
was that something that is going to happen again?
Oh no, I think I accidentally went back.
Oh, it was your fault.
Totally my fault.
I blame you.
Once again, I do too. I was talking about something. Hades, right? So every weapon's got these 3 abilities, and there's a handful of different weapons. I haven't got them all yet, but you unlock them with a certain resource that you collect in the world. So there's a sword, a spear, a shield, a bow, fists or claws, and a gun called the Adamant Rail. I think it's a gun. I haven't got that one yet. It's in my my world, I can see it, but I haven't unlocked it yet. So those you unlock them with keys, and that's one of the resources that you do get to keep every time you do a run. So you go out in the world as Zagreus, and his sole goal is to escape the underworld because he's had enough because his dad's a prick. We've all been there. But the underworld, it's sort of procedurally generated, but sort of not. It's more randomized than procedurally generated. So I think there is a set amount of rooms you can go to, a set amount of variety, but they will change every time because it's a maze, and because the idea is that it's meant to keep people inside. You go through, you kill people demons. Different enemy types do different things. It's quite simple. There's some that throw energy balls, some that are big, hulking guys who try and smash you. But there's also traps in the world. So there's spike panels, which if you step on them, spikes come up, and that can be really useful because you can use it against people as well. So you can lure them into your area and then dash away because you can do a little dodge. Then they'll get hit by the spikes and do loads of damage. It's great. There's also walls and pillars. So if you smash them, stuff falls down, debris falls down. That can squish people. That does loads of damage. That's really useful. So as you're trying to escape through the underworld, all of these rooms change, and in each one, once you've killed everyone, they'll give you an item or a power up, essentially. And most of the time, well, not most of the time, but quite a lot of the time, these come from the gods of Olympus. Your Zeus, Poseidon, Ares, all of those guys, and they all have different effects. Most of them are quite self-explanatory. So if you get one from Zeus, he'll give you a lightning buff. So on any attack, it'll give you 3 to choose from, and it'll be your basic attack, your special attack, or your cast. So that ranged one I was talking about before, and that'll essentially add damage to it and give it a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of lightning on top. Same with Poseidon. It'll give you a little bit of extra damage, but also do a knockback effect. So if you hit someone with a sword, they'll get blasted back, and then you can use them to push them into traps and whatnot. So each has their different advantages and disadvantages, but you don't have to stick to one, because as you go through into new rooms, I think they're called chambers. Yeah, chambers. Every chamber you go into, there'll be a different one. So sometimes you'll have Zeus, and then in the next one you'll have Poseidon. And every time you pick one up, their little cartoon pops up, and they give you their chat about stuff. So if you say Zeus, if you speak to Zeus, he's all very kingly and regal because he's the king of Olympus. But then if it's someone like Aphrodite, her cartoon icon that comes up is basically naked, and she's basically saying how much she loves you without quite saying it. Because I think technically you're related to Aphrodite. I can't remember how though. But you are spending eternity in the underworld. I mean, who cares about a little incest when it comes to eternity? Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you're alive forever anyway, and she's hot as hell. I mean, she is.
I'm not bothered.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Although I think my favourite.
What's the worst that can happen? They can send you to hell. I mean, hello.
I'm already there. Punish me. Yeah, I think my favourite, not in terms of what he gives you necessarily, but my favourite god is Dionysus, who I'm not particularly familiar with, but he's the god of wine, and he's just a pisshead. So he's sat there kind of slumped and oh yeah, it's very, 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 very camp. They're all quite camp because, I mean, the Greeks were played fast and loose with sexuality and all that. They don't really give a shit.
Yep, that's true.
They'll screw who they want to screw. And so his buff, his status effect is called Hangover. And it's basically just poison damage. You hit someone and they get a hangover and they start taking damage over time. It's great. So they all have different abilities which correspond to what they are the god of. And there's loads of them. I can't remember how many, but I think there's 7 or 8 maybe gods. But as you go through, you can get different ones. So you can end up with lightning on one attack and the hangover on another attack. And then sometimes you can get it to give you a brand new ability, which I think is called Call, which is like a super ability that charges up through certain encounters. And that'll be like a bunch of lightning strikes hitting the air, coming down from the sky, or firing arrows out in every direction if you get Artemis to back you up. Sometimes you can get duos, which will give you 2 at once, which will be like you could do lightning damage and it gives you the critical hit chance of I think Artemis gives you that, which is really, really handy. But when you die, all of these features, all of these godly abilities disappear. They're gone and you have to start from scratch, which is why it's a roguelite. But which can be very, very annoying, but I think this is what's kept it fresh, because every time you're doing a run, it feels different, it feels fresh, especially if you incorporate different weapons, because you can't, so far anyway, you might be able to later, you can't change weapons partway through a run, you have to stick with what you've got. So my favourite at the moment is the shield, because it means you can block, and you can throw it, so you've got a decent defense and ranged attack, and your normal attack's really, really good. I really like spear, but as I was talking about this in Discord, the spear is really, really good, but I think it's just a little slow on its thrust ability, like in terms of animation, because sometimes the enemies come and I want to hit them fast, and something like the sword is better for that. But the sword is it's probably my least favourite at the moment, because it's just a sword. It does what it says on the tin. It's not bad, like it's still good, but it's just a sword. So all that resets, and you go back to hell, you drag yourself out of the river, and Hades will like sass you a little bit. He's like, oh, back again. Good luck escaping, dickhead. And then Achilles will be like, no, go on, you can do it. I've trained you really well. You can make it. You're going to be the first one to get out. It's going to be awesome. But you do get to keep a bunch of different resource types. So there's jewels, which are used to upgrade the House of Hades. Sometimes that's cosmetic stuff, like changing the decor, or sometimes it's bonuses in the world. So in between levels of the underworld, because there's a handful of levels. You go through all the chambers, then you enter a new level. In between the levels, you'll get like a fountain, which will rejuvenate your health a little bit, and that can get upgraded a couple times, which is really useful. Then there's also darkness, which is effectively like XP, sort of in the sense that you unlock it and you spend it on stuff, and these will get you permanent upgrades, which will be like anytime you die, once per run, you'll spring back up with like 30% health. So you basically get a second chance, and that's really, really useful, and I think that can be upgraded a couple of times. And you get keys, as I said, which will unlock new weapons. Everything else, it's gone. It's over. In the on different runs, you also collect coins, and this took me far too long to realise. It literally, up until like my 8th run, I didn't realise that coins disappear when you die. I thought, you just collected them like you did any other resource, so I was like, oh, I'll save them. I've got 200 coins. I'll take that back to the House of Hades and save it for the next run and get something really good, because why not? But nope, spend all your coins as soon as you can spend them, because there's a shop with a guy called Karen, which I mean,
a shop called
I'm certain I must be pronouncing it wrong, but it's Charon, so kind of like Charon, but he's Karen. Karen. He doesn't say anything. He grumbles. You can try and talk to him. Zagreus will be like, "Hey, Karen, what's good in the shop?" Because he's like a merchant. He'll just go, because he's the one who ferries people across the River of the Dead and takes new dead souls through the underworld, basically. So you can buy stuff from him. Normally, it's another god upgrade, like another power from Zeus or another power from Poseidon or something. Or sometimes it's an upgrade which will boost one that you've already got. And occasionally like health items, which are really, really useful. So that's all great. But as a roguelike, or a rogue type game, there's always the question of difficulty, because if it's going to be really grindy, and I don't want to just keep dying and get nowhere, which is why I think, personally, I have a lot of trouble with some roguelikes, because I'm like, well, it's fun, but I'm not progressing, I'm not going anywhere. But in this, every time you go back to hell, there's new dialogue options with everyone. I haven't had anything repeat, I don't think, with dialogue stuff. And then when you go through, you get little bits of story. So there's mild spoiler stuff, so just be always very mild. Turns out Zagreus's mother, Persephone, who is traditionally the wife of Hades, she's gone. She's been gone forever. So that's now factored into his motivation. He doesn't just want to leave the underworld now to escape it being shit, he wants to go find her and find out where she is, because the Olympians, gods of Olympus, also don't know where she is, but they seem to be have some idea, and they want Zagreus to join them. And if there's anything I've learned from various forms of fiction involving the Greek pantheon of gods, don't fucking trust any of them. They're all pricks. They're all in it for themselves. They all pop down to Earth and like, let's go fuck a couple of mortals, pop out a couple of Perseuses and Herculeses, and that's the end of it. And now we're going to take over the world again. They're all pricks. Don't fucking trust them. I don't know if that is going to happen. Maybe they are actually benevolent this time, but I have my doubts. They're all pricks. So yeah, as you are progressing, you do get little bits of stuff, story-wise, and new dialogue options, and I think that's what's helping me like keep playing. You know, because sometimes you come up against a brick wall. It's like, I'm just not strong enough to get through this. I can't be asked to do it another 10 times in order to get strong enough, or in order to get lucky. Luck is a big part, because sometimes you'll get god abilities which are just useless. Like there's one, Aphrodite's generally a pretty shit, in my opinion, for like the way I like to play it. It's I can't remember what she got. I think it's called Weak, and it makes enemies do less damage for like a few seconds. So if you hit them with your sword, if they hit you again, it'll do less damage for like 3 seconds or something like that. And that's basically useless to me. I don't want to get hit. I want to be much more aggressive. I like Ares, who does doom damage, which is basically every time you hit someone, there'll be an extra hit on top of that after like a second, like a stab from Hades, basically. So all of that, I think, is helping keep it fresh, help me keep motivated to go through, because yesterday I made it the furthest I've ever been, and I honestly don't know if I'm like really bad at it, or this is just everyone's experience, but I think the highest chamber I got to was 41, I think, 41, 42, somewhere like that. And I've done about 20 odd runs. I've no frame of reference for if that is a good performance, like how long it should take you to get there. And I'm deliberately not looking it up. I'm not looking at how many chambers there are, because I think that's part of the enjoyment. I think I am kind of, well, on that one anyway, as soon as I got there, I died. Like, I beat the bosses I was fighting. At the end of every level, there's a level of hell. At the end of every level of hell, there's a new boss. So I got there, it decided to throw 2 at me, and I was like, great, this is going to fucking suck. Worked really hard, killed him. It's like, yes, never made it this far. Immediately got killed in the next chamber by 3... giant monster rat things with poison on the floor. No fucking idea what happened, and I was like, right, well, that's enough for today. I'm not fucking doing that again right now.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like the balancing out the games in terms of what you're actually doing minute to minute, I've always preferred games where you do have periods of action and periods of downtime, and like the great example of that for me is something like Fallout, or one of those RPG type games where you're going out and adventuring, you're collecting gear and stuff, and then you come to the point of you can't carry anything more. You've got to go back to your base, store loads of stuff, decide which stuff you're going to keep, sell some other stuff, and then it's that kind of dual aspect of the gameplay variety, if you like, that I do enjoy. And roguelikes in the past, like the one that Dead Cells is one that springs to mind. As soon as you die, another very good roguelike game, amazing in fact. As soon as you die though, you're straight back into a run. I like the idea of how this works, where you do have the milling around, chatting with people, having that interaction. You get a nice feel of the environment, of the setting, and it kind of warms you into and it's the same with, Children of Morta was the same, whereas there's some sort of tied narrative behind the whole thing, which carries you through the game and keeps you interested, apart from just the actual gameplay, which can be repetitive, and maybe if you do it too much too quickly.
And that's one thing I really like about this as a roguelike. This can be said for a lot of them, because a lot of them do it as well, but many don't, and it pisses me off, is they justify it, why it's a roguelike. It's one of my biggest problems with Jedi Fallen Order, which is, it's not like a proper roguelike, but it's got death mechanics where when you die, you lose all your stuff and you come back. It makes no sense in that game in terms of justifying it in the lore. There's no reason for it as a Jedi where you die and then everyone in the world just springs back to life. I think you could easily write it around it, saying that every time you do a run, or I don't know if that's quite the right word for that sort of game, but you know what I mean. Every time you do a run, it's not you actually doing it. It's kind of like in Katana Zero, have it where what's his name, Cal, is meditating, planning it, and then when he fails, it's like, okay, let's try a different approach.
That plan didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a much more interesting way to do it than, oh yeah, you just die, and it's not narratively justifying that mechanic. And it's a little pet peeve of mine, but it completely breaks any sort of like immersion for it being a game, you know? Whereas in this, you are an immortal, you're a demigod, you're the son of a god, and you're trying to escape, you can't, and every time you crawl your ass out of the river of death, which it's got like some really odd name, it's like Phlegaton, something, I can't remember. Ancient Greek language is a bit past my vocabulary. So you drag your ass out, you chat to people again, and they're like, go on, you can do it, you're gonna make it, and Hades is like, you're fucking pathetic, you're never escaping, do some work, you little shit. You give Cerberus a bit of love, a little scritch, and then you carry on with your day. You can then put all your darkness XP points into some stuff. You get some new abilities. Tart up your bedroom a little bit, because you have a bedroom, and you can put like, there's challenges which I think are what they called. They're prophecies. They're prophecies, which I think again is a really interesting way to narratively justify these challenges. Like, these prophecies are written so you are going to do these things. And once you do these things, which will be like, use every type of Zeus's ability, every type of Poseidon's ability. Once you do that, you get a little reward. And I like that it's a prophecy and you can choose to ignore it and, you know, write your own thing or do it in line with what the fates have said. And I think there's little things like that which narratively justify everything, which it goes a long way to me really, really appreciating the game and making it more than just a grind fest, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was already kind of half sold on this. So having heard your take on it, I'm pretty. At the end of this recording, I'm going to go and buy it. Right? I'm sold. I do like my roguelikes. I love Dead Cells. I did like Children of Mortar. It seems like a nice combination of both of those, and a lot on top. This game has been in early access for a long period. I do like games that come out of early access because they get a lot of feedback during the production process from the players, and the devs tend to implement some really good changes based on that feedback. This is made by Supergiant Games, who have a great reputation. Is it Supergiant?
Yeah, this is my first Supergiant game, but they've got a huge reputation.
All the games are really well received. Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre are the three previous ones. This one, Hades, launched, when was it? The 17th of September, so it's almost 3 weeks now. 92 on Metacritic on the PC and the Switch, putting them second best PC game of the year on Metacritic so far on both of those platforms, so which is great. The Steam ratings are 98% approval rating on Steam, which is overwhelming. You know, it's these types of games that don't come along that often. The fact that I can't even see how many people have just shy of 15,000 users have reviewed that on Steam. That says a lot to me. It really does. The problem for me is it's only available on two platforms right now, the Switch and the PC. Not a big problem. I'd rather play this on my Switch, right? But I've weighed up both versions. £19.50 on Steam, £22.50 on the Switch. Both digital versions. It doesn't make sense. Why are we paying that Nintendo Switch Premium? Makes no sense at all.
It's fucking Nintendo and they suck dick.
They do suck dick. So that's all there is to it. £3 just because Nintendo like to suck dick. Yeah. £3 difference. Another notable thing as well, if anyone else is interested, it is available on Windows and Apple, on Mac as well, on Steam, and it's on Epic Store as well for those of you who are interested. I'm not sure about other versions. One sec, my camera just died. And
it runs really well on the Switch. I've been playing mainly in handheld, a little bit on the big screen, and it runs like completely fine. I think I've had like one or two instances of just a little bit of frame drops, but nothing that lasted very long, and it was a very, very chaotic Diarrhea Christmas Lights kind of moment where like there's loads of lightning and then particles and all that kind of stuff. So it runs really, really well. It's really good to pick it up, play like a run, see how you do, and be like, I did pretty well, and then put it down and go do something else. I think that is one of the the selling points of a roguelite is that you can just pick it up, do a little bit, and then go do something else. You can be quite like in and out with it.
Sounds ideal for me. I've not played anything, for my shame, in over a week. I've had a lot of shit going on, and I've been working almost every hour that God sends to get my music content back online and my website all sorted out. I really need a break. I work all through the weekend, everything, like almost 12 hours a day, every single day. But hopefully I've broken the back of that work now. I'm just going to chill out this afternoon, I think, and just play my guitar a bit, which I haven't done for long enough, and get this game and play this. So I think this is exactly what I need right now. And so that's it. I'm totally sold, Henry.
Yeah.
You've done a good job there, dude. And I'm willing to support Supergiant Games. Having never done so before, I've never played in their previous games, but like I said, highly reviewed, and they're a well-respected developer.
Yep. And as I said, it's currently number 3 on my Game of the Year list. We'll see where it sits towards the end of the year, but I think it's great. It's exactly the kind of game I needed right now. There's a couple of games that came out sort of recently that I've been like, oh, maybe have a look, but this is what I felt like I needed, and it scratched that itch real nice.
It's like we're just waiting now for the next big, in like a month's time, everything kicks off. Like
November.
We've got Cyberpunk coming, we've got the new consoles coming, we've got all the yearly annual like Call of Duty and all those. There's so much thing. We're just waiting. It's just like the eye of the storm, or just like the calm before the storm right now. So having this game is probably going to be a good call, I think. And talking of the next generation of console, PS5. That leads us nicely into the next segment. The PS5 did a teardown. It was this week, so it was like less than 8-minute video of the Sony Interactive Entertainment's Vice President of Mechanical Design Department, Yasuhiro Otori. That's his name, Yasuhiro Otori. So he's got a big title. Vice President of Mechanical Design Department. So basically the technician guy, the guy who designed it, Vice President of the design. So he basically, there's a video of him just taking the whole thing apart and basically justifying why it's so big. And
there's a huge disclaimer at the front as well. Like before it even starts, it's like, don't do this. You might get like radiation poisoning from the laser and it's going to void your warranty. Just don't fucking do it. I'm the pro. I got this.
And I talk kind of the size. The thing is 104 millimeters wide, so that's just over 10 centimeters wide. 390 millimeters tall, so that's 39 centimeters. That wide. 39 centimeters big. And then 260 millimeters, or 26 centimeters deep. For those imperial of you among us, 4 inches wide, 15 inches high, and 10 inches deep. That's what she said.
Well, hey.
So yeah, the thing is huge, and it's obvious now that I'm not even sure how that's going to fit around my my gaming setup here. Maybe to the side. It's almost like the fact that he pulled it apart too, and it's like dug into the inside. It's what you do with a PC. It's almost like it's an equivalent of a PC with the size of it and everything that he pulled apart of it. That was my impressions anyway. So a couple of the key things, you've probably seen it and heard other people talk about it, but I thought it was worth us discussing it here. The side panels, those white things that make it into a God knows what it is, the router side panels, whatever it is, they can be replaced. So you can probably customize them, get I don't know, it's D-Brand or whatever these websites that generate custom parts for stuff are, but you can probably take the white bits off and then you're just left with the black core and just add your own, maybe even black. It might even look good if you add your black wings on the thing or whatever. So that's good. That's a good. You can just do that out the box, which is great. The other thing is the explanation of why everything's so big, mainly because the PlayStation 4 got ripped to shreds because of the noise, and to solve that, they've come up with this huge, this very intricate system of how to cool the PlayStation 5. So it's got one massive heatsink that goes like the length of the whole thing. It's got a massive fan, and it's also got dual intake fans on both sides. And it's got liquid metal thermal interface material to deliver long-term stable, high cooling performance. So it's even got liquid metal. And it's estimated that between 60 and 75% of the PS5 size is dedicated to keeping the thing cool and, more importantly than anything for most people, quiet. Because everyone who owns a PS4 knows that it is noisy as hell. However, this should not be because of the design. So that's a bonus, right? The trade-off, though, is that it's absolutely bloody huge. Is that going to be a problem for you, the size of it?
I mean, it's a problem that can be solved in most instances. You can, if you just like rearrange your setup a little bit. But it is huge.
So big.
Like, there's no getting around it. It's fucking massive.
Yeah.
But I think standing it vertically, given my current setup, I can see it fitting like reasonably well. Horizontally, though, that's so wide, and it's not like you could even put stuff on top of it because of the curvy Sydney Opera House thing it's got going on. But it is big. There's no getting around it.
Yeah. And talking of flipping it on its side, it's got a lot of flack from how he was showing people that it's done. So you flip it on its side, and then the stand on the bottom gets unscrewed with the screw underneath, which you then tuck into a little compartment, and then you take the stand off, and then it goes onto the side, and then that's how you do it. Apparently, you can't just like flip it because of the stand, because of the height, because of the weight. You need to unscrew the thing. So it was taking a bit of, a few memes were made. Xbox already took the piss on Twitter saying, this is how you flip our Xbox Series X on a side. And just two pictures, one with it vertical, one with it horizontal.
Yeah.
And it was, it's very reminiscent of how they took the piss out of PlayStation 4 when they went with all that DRM. Was it? Oh no, it was the other way around, wasn't it?
Shared
like
games
it was the other way around that time. Yeah, it was Sony taking the piss out of Microsoft then, where Microsoft were at the beginning of this generation. They were touting, DRM means that you can't share games with players unless you add them to your family group, and there was a whole intricate. Anyway, it was all taken back because there was a huge uproar about it. But at the time, Sony were like, this is how you share games on PlayStation. And then I had one guy hand a game to someone else just to take the piss out of them. So I think this is a little bit of I don't know, payback, I guess. So another few things that were, if anybody's interested about the teardown, if anyone didn't see it, there's dust catchers on the thing. There's two of them, so they can be hoovered out, which is good. So the dust stops going into your system, and it's good for maintenance. The M2 expansion slot bag is behind a single screw cover, so you got a screw to get in your thing. The SSD is soldered onto the board as well, and we're talking about the speed of the thing, how it's going to deliver 5.5 gigabits of gigabits of information per second or something, which is a lot of info. And the way they've got that is that the SSD is literally soldered onto the board, because that's how they made it so fast. So a lot of answers there. We know a lot more about what this PS5 looks like, how it's going to handle, what it's going to be like, how big the bloody thing is, and why it's so bloody big now. So yeah, I guess that was that. What do you have any takeaways from this, Henry? What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I did. It's not a big show. It's just, here's the guy, the like main engineer bloke, pulling it apart. It wasn't like a big fancy showcase. It was just him with a screwdriver, just popping up stuff and being like, here's this, and moving on. I quite liked the simplicity of it. It was in Japanese as well, the chap who did it. Whereas I think if it was the American arm of Sony doing it, it would have been this huge, like, explosion
razzmatazz,
of like, showbiz, and a great big razzle dazzle of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked its simplicity. It's not changed my thoughts on it. It's just information. It's just, okay, that's cool. That's handy to know.
You're still sold on getting one? Are you getting it day one?
Oh God, no.
No.
I'm not getting anything day one. But I mean, what's the point? I maintain like the only reason I would probably get either the PlayStation or the Xbox Series X is for this channel. Like that's the only reason. As a regular gamer, non-content creator type thing, I see no need to, because everything I'm interested in is already coming to PS4 anyway. Yeah, it'll run nicer on the PS5, but I don't need to pay an extra, 500 quid or whatever it is to do that. Certainly get it eventually if for stuff like Horizon 2 or God of War Part 2 or whatever they're going to call that, because God of War is my game of the generation, so I'm obviously really, really excited about that. But at the moment, I see no need to. Same with the Xbox. There's nothing on it. There's nothing on it at launch that's exclusive anyway. Nothing at all.
There's nothing on it. Full stop. Let's just leave that sentence there. No, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, it is harsh. When Halo comes, I always want to give Halo a chance to be what it used to be. I love Halo. Halo's great. But yeah, there's nothing that I don't see a need to. I don't gain anything by having it on day one that I wouldn't gain by getting it next year.
I get you. I think of the two, though, if I'm going to get one day one, it will be the Xbox for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because I use my Xbox One right now to watch the football. I've got my Now TV Game Pass on there, so I watch that, and the BT Sport on there. I don't have to do it on PlayStation, let's be honest, but I do prefer that, and also the Game Pass is there, right? I've got the Xbox Game Pass, so I've got all these games and all that library all ready to go. So yeah, if I'm going to get either of them, it'll be that one first, and then the PlayStation 5. But they're both reasonably priced in my eyes. I think. I won't get them both.
Yeah, they're still expensive because I think it's not 500. It's about £450, something like that, and then I think $500. I might be wrong. I don't have the numbers in front of me. It is still expensive, but it's not unreasonable. Like you could quite conceivably budget appropriately and afford at least one. But yeah, I'm really not fussed at the moment. If they came out and said, yeah, we're gonna put God of War 2 on PS5 at launch day one, then maybe. But right now,
well, nah. And that's the thing. Thinking about it, if you're going to buy Cyberpunk, because we're all going to buy Cyberpunk pretty much, and we're going to play Cyberpunk. If you want to play that on your old console, you can, and then buy the new console, and don't they give a free upgrade for the new console? So I mean, it makes that transition a little bit easier, more palatable, and gives you room to breathe essentially. Otherwise, you wouldn't buy Cyberpunk, and you just be like, well, if I'm going to get it, I'm going to have to get it on the new console. I'm going to buy it on the old console and then be outdated, and because you've got this policy where they're offering the free upgrade. That's great. That's great for the consumer, really is, and it just eases that transition.
And with stuff like Cyberpunk, I mean, I'm expecting it to have its fair share of bugs at launch anyway, just because it's so big. A game half its size would still have shitloads of bugs, so it's that big. It's going to have some problems. But I'm going in knowing I'm on the base level machine, the vanilla PS4, and it's probably not going to run as well as it would on something else. And I'm aware of that, so I'm not going to be disappointed when it if the frame rate goes down a bit when I'm driving really, really fast or something like that, I mean, obviously, I'm not justifying releasing unfinished games just because some idiot will comment saying that.
The Witcher 3 got a bit of flack out around launch. I was at the time where these things didn't get a lot of traction on YouTube. It was only after then that this, a lot of commentators now on YouTube don't like that kind of shit. So I think being conscientious company as they are, if I can say that right, CDPR want to get this right. They've gone gold in the last few days, which means that they've shipped the disc, and all this crunching now is just working on the day one patch essentially. And let's fingers crossed, hope it releases in a reasonable state. It's an open world RPG game, and ask Bethesda how difficult that is to ship in one piece.
It's about as complicated as it can get.
Yeah, so there's so many variables in those types of games. There's gonna be people memeing it up on YouTube and Twitter and everything. That's just the nature of the beast. People just have to realise that. I sound like a CDPR sympathiser again this week. That's 2 weeks in a row. Anyway, let's move on.
Take their cyber balls out of your mouth.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Next up, we are going to, firstly, it's community section begins now. And what I like to do at the beginning is thank everybody who subscribes to our Patreon on YouTube to support us bringing content. Because without you people supporting us on Patreon and on YouTube subscriptions, we wouldn't be able to afford to exist, essentially. The AdSense revenue that we make off YouTube is almost non-existent. And you guys on Patreon and on YouTube make it viable for us to continue. So if you do like our content and you want to support us and make sure that we exist into the future, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming or hit the join button here on YouTube or wherever. Henry's disappeared again. Did you press back again? Oh man, what have you done? I might not even edit this one out. Henry's messed up again. Let's be honest. What's he done? He's back. I'm not going to edit that one out. I'm going to leave that one in. That's the second time.
Do it. It was the exact same thing. Brilliant.
Can you change your mic to the good mic, please? All I can hear is like your tinny, whiny voice.
My voice is always whiny.
There you go. So we've had 3 signups this week. Increased pledges. So the first one was Two Shot Tino. He increased his pledge from $5 to $10 per month on Patreon. Very, very much appreciated, Mr. Two Shot Tino. Thanks very much. The next one is a new subscriber to Patreon, $3 per month by Jason Ho. Thank you very much, sir. And the last one is a YouTube member sign up. Sam Johnston joined the channel on YouTube. And again, thanks very much, sir. We really appreciate.
That last one may or may not be someone I know, because one of my good friends from back home, we've known each other through primary school and high school, is Sam Johnson. And I was chatting to him like earlier in the week and last week about the whole shit show with the fucking copyright thing with the music channel and how it could be the end of this one and all that. So that could very well be him, or it could be the inventor of the dictionary from the like 1700s or whatever, Samuel Johnson.
I'm sure. Yeah,
they're the only 2 people who are Sam Johnson. But either way, if it is you, even if it's not you, thank you very much. And if it is
the
you,
only 2,
I love you.
They're the only 2 Sam Johnsons who have ever existed. So it has to be one of them 2. So thanks everybody for your pledge. Like I said, if you want to support the channel, please do that. Oh, another quick note as well. For those of you who don't like YouTube, don't like Patreon, we are now on other platforms. Most notably, the 2 that we're on, Odyssey and Utreon. Now these are both startup kind of competitors to YouTube, and I see the benefits in both of these. Our content gets pushed to both of these platforms now, so I'll leave the links to in the description for both of these. So if you just don't like YouTube anymore because YouTube has a monopoly, and we all know that having a monopoly isn't the best for customer service or customers or people, because they're in charge, they can do anything. And having had a bit of experience on both of these platforms, Odyssey looks really nice and it's a really clean user interface. It's good, right? Utreon maybe doesn't look quite as good, but behind the scenes, it's already got 2 killer features that I think that YouTube has completely dropped the ball in not implementing. For one, it's got this pop-out player, which you can have independent to your browser, right? So you can pop out the video and resize it any way you want on your desktop, and then you'll be working on a spreadsheet, and it's just there, and it's like, why isn't this a thing? Why aren't they doing this already? Like I said, this website is very new. It's less than a year old, but we're there now, and we're supporting this because we want more. And also on the back end as well, there's a couple of other like creator benefits or useful things that they're doing for creators in the back end. Like having each channel has separate series. So if you make a different show, like we've got the daily show, we've got the podcast show, right? We've got 2 different shows. If you make 2 different shows, they automatically, all right, in YouTube you've got playlists, but this can be a show with seasons on Utreon, right? And so you can categorize them like that. So if you want to look at like season 2, podcast episode number 5, you can, it's those types of little kind of user I think it's quality of life improvements. I know I'm rubbing on a bit now, but it's those little things that YouTube just doesn't give a hell about. All they care about is these huge corporations coming to YouTube and making buck off their content. Like Ellen DeGeneres, as if she needs any more money. I mean, come on. And like Will Smith. I mean, does he need any more exposure? No. It's the little guys that started this bloody platform. I'm rabbiting now. 10 years of pent up YouTube frustrations coming out here. Head to Odyssey, head to Utron. Sign up for them both and follow us. Links are in the description. Thankfully got that off my chest. I do feel a lot better. Thanks. Let's move on. I
just texted my buddy, and it is him. It is him who has become a channel member. So
what a star!
Thank you very much, Sam. You are the best.
You are the best, as well as everyone else. So, next up, we've got the Metal Shark Quiz of the Week. And Henry, because you lost so dismally, so shamefully last week, you're up. So, I'm going to ask the questions, and you've got to answer. So, Metal Shark, here we go. A quiz for Henry this week, looking at banned games around the world. For each given game, can you determine the reason its sale was restricted in the given country? Warning, these will be tough, and I'm hoping Gaz will be very lenient for getting anywhere near the actual answer. I'm usually very lenient.
Fuck will he be?
I'm usually pretty lenient. I'm usually pretty... it's not heads up to this week, it's just you on your own. Yeah, okay. So, first question, why was EA Sports MMA banned in Denmark?
I would assume this is the most recent one, right? Isn't there a newer one that came out? I don't know. Maybe I'm got my wires crossed. MMA. My first thought is that it's violent because it's mixed martial arts game. It's all about fighting. But then I kind of feel like that's quite obvious. So maybe it's to do with like sponsorships or something like that, because professional sports are always covered in sponsorships. But I am going to go with my first thought, and I'm going to say, is it because of the violence or something to do with the violence?
No, but you're kind of close with the other one. Prohibited from marketing energy drinks, which EA chose not to remove from the game. Available on import. Yeah. In Denmark, apparently you're not allowed to market energy drinks.
Wow.
So, guess what? I'm wondering what they did with Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding, because...
yeah, I hate that. I hate it so much.
Yeah, there you go.
Should have gone with the sponsorships thing.
There you go. Next up, Animal Crossing New Horizons was banned in China. Why was that, Henry?
Because of anything, China can make up the rules as they go about what goes on. They're banning everything left, right, and center. Did someone, like a user, create like some anti-Hong Kong, some free Hong Kong stuff, some anti-CCP stuff?
Well, like I know Winnie the Pooh meme or something.
Something like that. Well, I know you can create like designs for like t-shirts and stuff, I'm pretty sure, in Animal Crossing. So something like that, something against the Chinese government, or that they perceived to be against the government.
It is correct. It was banned as players created and posted anti-government messages in-game with a custom pattern tool.
Oh.
Not even allowed to speak your mind in China. I mean, there you go.
Draw your mind.
1 from 2. Fallout 3 was banned in India. Why was that, Henry?
Fallout 3, I mean, it's no more violent than any other game, really. What does India not like? I don't know. I don't know how strict India are about certain things. This is going to have to be a complete fucking shot in the dark on this one. Let's go for something to do with cows. A two-headed radioactive cow. I think, isn't that an enemy, a creature in?
Was that a guess?
Thingy? A complete guess.
Was that a complete guess? You're absolutely right, dude. It was not officially banned, but never released due to cultural sensitivities, as the game depicts two-headed cows, or Brahmin, named after a community.
There you go. I just know that they in the Hindu religion, that's how I got there. That can be quite sensitive about cows because there's one of their gods is a cow, I think, in Hindu. I can't remember who it is.
Can we just draw attention to how epic that guess was? That was an epic level guess, Henry. Congratulations.
For a game I've played it like a tiny bit, but not even properly, and it was a complete guess that a two-headed cow even existed.
There you go. I'm not going to give him an extra point because, we've got fair is fair, rules are rules.
I'll probably get another one wrong at some point.
2 from 3 so far, well done. Next up, Pokemon Go was banned in Malaysia, but why was that?
Well, it's quite. I wonder if this is to do with the environment around the game rather than the game itself. So, because there were all these stories of people walking in front of traffic and going trespassing and that sort of stuff. So, I'm going to guess players, nothing to do with in the game, but players being like doing dangerous things or doing things they're not supposed to while playing the game, something like that.
Well, I don't think that is correct. I'm going to read the answer. Banned by the Federal Territory for Muslims for promoting the search for power. The ban was later lifted following massive backlash on social media.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they didn't approve of people going to
Muslims.
They didn't approve of people going to capture Pokemon to make themselves more powerful, I guess.
That's amazing.
That's ridiculous. Right. Anyway, 2 out of 4 so far. Next up, PUBG was banned in Nepal, Henry, and you're going to tell us why.
I I don't know. Again, it's no more violent than anything else, really. Well, it's on everything now. So, and I know where is it? It's somewhere like India or Bangladesh, somewhere like that. They had a problem with it, and they had to ban it because people were playing it too much. So they sort of banned it, but I don't think that's the same. Maybe it is. I don't know. Let's go for something to do with microtransactions. Why not? That's not come up yet, and it's probably going to come up at some point.
Is wrong. It was banned because of delinquency issues involving youths. And the ban has since been lifted, but basically
that's what I was touching on. I should have fucking said that.
The reason Socrates was tried and killed because he was corrupting the youth. So unfortunately, that's 2 for 5 so far. You're not having a good day. I thought that was somewhere else,
but this is hard. This is hard.
Yeah, it is hard. I'm trying to be lenient here, but unfortunately, you can't have epic guesses every single time. So let's move on.
I got that one. That's a victory no matter what.
That's a victory in itself. Battlefield 3 was banned in Iran.
It's a war game, so does part of it take place in Iran? And it probably depicts the Americans being the heroes and someone in Iran being the bad guys?
Yeah, it presented a fictional US invasion on Tehran, which is the capital of Iran. So
there we go.
Yeah, so US were invading Tehran. It got banned. I'll give you that one. That is 3 from 6. Next up, Mass Effect was banned in Singapore. But why is that?
This Mass Effect 1, probably because of the sex scene. That's the most controversial part about it. Is that can you have sex in Mass Effect 1? Yes, you can. Can't you?
A sexual encounter. Yeah, but which specific one?
With an alien.
Yes, between a feminine alien and a female human. So it's a gay cross-species sexual encounter. I'm going to give you that. The ban was later lifted and title re-rated to M18. So there you go. That's 4 from 7. Tropico 5.
I don't think I banned anyone in my run of my playthrough of Mass Effect 1, or did I? So I think I was grafting with the blue alien whose name I've already forgotten. She was just a one-night stand. I've already forgotten her name. Aliyah.
What the hell's her name?
She's the science officer.
God, it's been so long since I played it.
I'll remember as soon as we stop recording.
Yeah, okay. Next up, Tropico 5 in Thailand.
Isn't that the one? It's like a city builder, city sim thing, but you're a dictator, I think?
Yeah, you're like a Cuban dictator or something like that kind of type thing.
Can you, as this dictator person, Can you do something in Thailand? Can you bomb Thailand or destroy Thailand or like attack it? Something like that?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, why not?
No. The ruling military junta claims it could affect peace and order within the country.
Wow. So that's a similar thing to the delinquency of the youth.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
What are we on now? We've done 8. What did you get? 4?
I think I'm on 4.
Next up, Splatoon 2 was banned in Venezuela. Why would Splatoon 2 be banned? Got a thing
it's
against...
a harmless game about squid people shooting ink at each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to do with animals, maybe? Because they're squid people? I don't... they're not really squids, are they?
Well...
They're inklings.
In Venezuela, all video games allowing you to shoot people have been banned since 2009. So
really?
Splatoon 2 is just one of those games that isn't allowed in the country because apparently you're shooting people, even if it is with ink.
The game that's specifically designed to be the most kid-friendly shooter around. Okay. All right, well, you do you, Venezuela.
There you go. And then the very last one now, we're on 4. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse was banned in North Korea.
Again, this could literally be anything.
It
could be that whomever the dictator was at the time, whether it was Kim Jong-il or Kim Jong-un, thought that Kirby looked a bit too much like him and people would take the piss. It could be because Kirby's an alien. It could be because he's pink. It could be because of Dreamland. I've absolutely no idea. It's going to be a complete shot in the dark. Is it because Kirby eats people and assimilates their abilities?
It's a lot more simpler than that, Henry, and you're going to kick yourself. North Korea just simply doesn't allow games. There's no games in North Korea.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you said, it could have been anything, and it was just for all reasons. Video games aren't
we
allowed.
didn't ban this specific game, we just ban all of them.
Yeah, there you go. So that was 4 out of 5. 4 out of 10. It wasn't easy, but I'll give you a lot of kudos for that, like, shot in the dark answer.
I mean, that one was the one I got like most accurately right as well.
Yeah, it was like right on the nose. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done, Henry. Thanks again, as always, Mr. Metal Shark, for going to the time and effort of putting together the quiz for us. I love to see Henry squirm, and that was indeed well worth it. So thanks very much, as always, dude.
Just make it a little easier next time. That was horrific.
Let's move on. We have more questions from the members on the Discord now. And Henry, would you like to take it?
First up, and this is the most intellectual question, so make sure you've got like a notepad and a pen to compose your answer. Host Wervo47, is a hot dog considered to be a sandwich? So this is an expansion on the hamburgers and sandwiches debate for the ages. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Right,
now,
let's clarify first, right? A hot dog, some people might think is just the sausage, right? The hot dog. But we're talking about a hot dog in a bun. If we're talking about a hot dog in a bun...
Who thinks a hot dog is just a sausage on its own? What kind of
hot dogs. If you're eating hot dogs, if you're eating hot dogs out of a tin, for example, that's technically a hot dog, right?
But it's just a shit sausage then, isn't it?
I don't know whether it's like in other countries, but to us a hot dog is like a long finger-shaped bun with a sausage put in.
There's a stipulation about any kind of sausage. I would say any kind of sausage put in a bun is a hot dog. It doesn't have to be the horrible frankfurters that are jelly and... I mean, I'll still eat it if it's there. Like, I'm not going to turn it down, but then they're not great. A barbecue. You can have a barbecued sausage, put it in a bun, still a hot dog.
Still a hot dog, correct.
It's not a fucking sandwich.
Oh, what? It's not bread. Anything with bread is a sandwich, is it not? Isn't?
No, but it's I think an argument could be made more that a hamburger is more of a sandwich. But I think the hot dog, because it's still open, because the bread's like that and the sausage is here. It's not like fully...
When you put your sauce on it, you've got to squeeze it to keep the sauce in, right? Then it's closed.
But it's not like that.
So the difference is that it's open, right? So if somebody chose to eat their hot dog
it's closer to a burrito, because a burrito is open.
Answer the question, Henry. If somebody took their hot dog and squeezed the bread together so the sausage was inside the bread, it would then become a sandwich.
Oh, it'd have to be like proper flat, but yeah, then it'd probably be a sandwich.
It's not a sandwich because it's open. I mean, you get a sandwich from Sainsbury's or Co-op or whatever, and some of the filling's showing. It's not all covered, but you eat that and it's still a sandwich.
Out, but that's just poking out. A hot dog is.
I'm not sure of your rationale. I'm not buying your rationale here, Henry. I think personally, if it's a bit of meat between two pieces of bread, it's a meat sandwich. Is what it is. It's a meat, just like a burger is a meat sandwich, right?
I mean, nonetheless, I'm still going to eat the fucking thing, and I'm going to really enjoy it because hot dogs are brilliant. But then there's the true academic question: a burger or a hot dog? Largely, I'd go with a burger because there's much more space for customization and changing it, putting different bits of salad, different bits of sauce, extra things like bacon and all that sort of stuff. I don't think you can customize a hot dog as much because generally there's less room in the bun. You know what I mean?
Choice of onions or no onions, or two sort of sauces. Maybe you can put something like chili. I've seen like chili hot dogs before.
Yeah, chili dog's the thing. And I'm not saying they're not good, but I think a burger is a bit more versatile.
And it's higher meat content as well. So generally, I like my burgers. There you go.
And you can then put a sausage in the burger as well. You can't put a burger in a hot dog. That don't fucking work.
That's true. That's true. A lot more versatile is a burger. So there you go, Mr. Joswervo. Hopefully you got your money's worth with that that question. Let's move on to Mr. Assassin. And he asks, I'll be interested to know which game for which you'd love to see a ground-up rebuild and remaster. I would personally love for there to be a rebuild/remaster of Star Trek Deep Space Nine: The Fallen. It's a little niche gem, but its story and gameplay were brilliant. Henry.
Well, I think this is a question we get a lot because
we do.
Anytime someone new comes in, they ask what kind of game we'd remake. But my answer is always the same. It's always Metal Gear Solid. It's like the last really big PlayStation 1 game, I think, really, to get the glow-up treatment. I mean, it had the Twin Snakes on the GameCube, but just take it to a new level. Or do the original Metal Gear games on the MSX, the 2D sort of shitty ones that are very, very basic. Do them, make it look like Phantom Pain, give it Phantom Pain's gameplay, because Phantom Pain has amazing gameplay, but the story is dog.
Yeah.
And then I'll be happy.
Okay.
That's my choice.
You're right. We always get asked this question, or we often get asked this question, and obviously we can't assume that everybody watches every podcast. So I'm going to mix it up. I'm not going to say the same answer, which is usually Sid Meier's Pirates. I'm going to go with two new ones today. Siphon Filter, I want a remake and a remaster of because that game is brilliant, and Tenchu Stealth Assassin. I want that. Both of those games right now, please. Thank you. So hopefully this answers your question. Thanks for the question, Mr. Assassin.
Okay, next one is from Tommy T333. Do you think Activision is finally taking a step in the right direction?
Sorry, Henry. Sorry, I hate to go across. Tommy T333, man. Surely. Tommy T333.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thomas.
That wasn't even worth interrupting you. I'm sorry. Carry on.
Do you think that Activision is finally taking a step in the right direction of stopping pay-to-win microtransactions with Call of Duty and switching to Battle Pass systems and offering free content to players? Keep up the good work, and then a little heart. Well, thank you for the little heart. Do we think they're taking a step in the right direction? Well, that's an interesting question because there's another kind of point about what their motive is. Their motive about changing it isn't because it's the better thing to do, because pay-to-win games are wrong and immoral because it's cheating. It's certainly going to be more to do with how they're perceived, and people give them shit all the time when they do pay-to-win, so that's the only reason they're going to be changing it. I don't necessarily think a Battle Pass system immediately fixes the problem, because you can easily put in gameplay modifiers within the Battle Pass. But if the Battle Pass is like Fortnite's, where it's just cosmetic shit in a free game, like what's the current Battle Royale Call of Duty? Is it Warzone? Is that the free one? I can't remember. There's so many now. There's so many.
Yeah.
If it's in that, it's a free-to-play game. Make it a bit of money that way. Absolutely not a problem. But if you put in a Battle Pass in a full-price game that you're paying money for and then expect it to pay money on top, it's still bullshit in my eyes. It's better than pay-to-win, but it's still not fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, replacing one shit thing with a slightly less shit thing, it's a step in the right direction. You could call it that if you wanted to term it like that.
A single small step. It's a tiptoe.
I mean, stopping pay-to-win microtransactions dead is always a win. So, thankfully, if that's what they're doing, a battle pass system, I would have to look at the nooks and crannies of what that battle pass system involves. I don't go near Call of Duty games recently, so I couldn't tell you whether it is a decent step in the right direction or just a lip service step in the direction with no real meaningful change. So on the surface it looks like it, but then again it's all about the detail, which we don't really look at because it's a Call of Duty game. Nobody cares, do they? I don't know.
Well, people do because they still fucking buy them. But
I mean, they obviously don't care about the monetization, do they? They just buy them because they like the game. I mean, more power to them. But there you go. Thanks for the question, Tommy T Triple Fee. Let's move on to Angry Hobbit Zero. Okay, so this is a brutal shag, marry or kill, as described. As we haven't had one in a while. Number 1. Diane Abbott. And for those of you who don't know who Diane Abbott is, I'm quickly Googling her. She is a British politician.
Labour. Yeah.
British politician. So she's not very hot. Nicole Sturgeon, who is the leader of the Scottish First Minister of Scotland, is what her title is. And then the last one, a sheep. Henry, who would you shag, marry, kill out of Diane Abbott, Nicole Sturgeon, or a sheep? And this is brutal, like you said.
Is one of the the worst we've ever had. I think kill the sheep because I don't want to have sex with a sheep, and I certainly don't want to marry a sheep. But if you kill it, you can eat it. And you can use the wool. So there's a lot of purpose to it, and it's not a complete waste. I guess I'll have to. I don't want to do this. Do we have to do this? I guess I'll shag Diane Abbott just to get it out of the way, and I'd marry Nicola Sturgeon because she's a very, very powerful woman, and I can just coast off that and not have to do anything. And I reckon she's a bit of a laugh. She's a Scot. You can go down and have a pint. Maybe it'd have to be somewhere a bit more incognito because she's quite recognisable. But I think she's a Scot. Get a good bit of whiskey. I think you'll have a bit of fun. For like a long-standing relationship over a couple of decades,
I get you. I get your rationale. However, sheep has to die.
You're going to shag the sheep
because it's food. No. Sheep has to die because it's food. Nice lamb for dinner. Which Diana Abbott is going to cook for me because she's my wife. Because she's 67 years old and she doesn't have long left. Right. Soon she'll be dead. And then I am free to marry whoever I like, and then just shag Nicole Sturgeon, and then Nicola Sturgeon, and then she's out the way. So I will be free. Let's say she's got a good 10 years left in her. Does Diane Abbott? I mean, I'll be free in 10 years. You'll be chained to Nicola Sturgeon for at least 20, 30 years, dude.
I mean, well, she'll probably get assassinated at one point anyway, surely. Now, just as a clarification, I'm not saying anyone do it. I don't want to get attacked by any governments or anything. No one doing anything. Nicola Sturgeon seems like a laugh. I want to go for a pie. Yeah,
that was a joke.
Good fun.
There you go. Thanks for the question.
If you want to have a whiskey, let's have one. Right, let's move on.
Or an iron brew or something. I don't know.
Oh, I love iron brew. Like, not ironically or anything. I legitimately love iron brew.
You've got a lot in common. You should hit her up.
Iron brew and whiskey. Metal Shark. With the upcoming Mario Home Circuit game mixing augmented reality footage with a real-world remote-controlled device, what similar games with real-world devices would you like to see in the future? So this game, just to touch on what it is, it's Mario Kart, real Mario Kart on a Switch with a screen, but you build the track in your house with these gates and you pop them around and then they all link up, and there's a RC car with a little camera on it, and that corresponds to what's on your screen. So you're driving with the Switch and looking at what you're doing, but your car is in the real world driving around your living room. Mm-hmm. It sounds really, really cool, but who the hell has the space for that? Just this bare floor in their house that an RC car can just run around. In the ad, it's like the most top level, like upper class American family, where there's a sofa conveniently in the middle of the room that you can sit on, and loads of fucking space, like 6 feet circumference around the bouncing from the sofa, and the cars you get one with the game, and then and the game is already I think like £100, and then to buy a new car it's like another £100.
Wow!
And so it's a huge investment. It sounds cool in theory, but it's just not.
It sounds and looks cool.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. So the actual question is, what other games would we like to do that with?
I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen this, so this is quite new to me. It looks awesome. Yeah, like you said, you could have a track though going through your rooms though, right?
You'd have to make it like narrow enough and figure out the space, but
it's this is awesome.
I just know I wouldn't have enough space for it at all.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So what other options would we have? I mean, I don't know what. I mean, a car works because it can roll around your floor, but if you've got like a character that needs to jump on thing, like a platformer or something, that's not going to work. I can't see how else we could. Similar games with real world devices. I mean, a tank out in the street to blow up my neighbours before being noisy.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah,
that could work.
I think maybe like a step up from Star Wars Squadrons, because that's got quite a lot of VR stuff. On that note, a lot of people are saying the hot ass stuff really doesn't work and it's a huge problem. Well, then a bunch of other people are saying that that's absolutely the way you should play the game. So there's a really weird kind of disconnect with that. So if you can get your hot ass stuff to work with Star Wars Squadron, if you can
we clarify what hot ass means for those people who don't know what hot ass is, dude?
Oh fucking hell! It's
if you can get your hot ass to work.
I mean,
it's just it's just a joystick essentially, right?
What's it? It's hands on throttle and stick, isn't it? So it's a joystick and a lever to go fast and some buttons. So in relation to this question, if you could do something like a Star Wars flight game where you can fly
a drone
around, like a drone remote control flying thing, that could be quite cool.
Yeah, that's a good call. That'll be the final answer because I can't see any other options. But yeah, definitely drones. Like flying drones would be cool in a game, like an augmented reality thing. That'd be pretty damn cool. Thanks for the question, Mr. Metal Shark. Let's move on. Tons is next. Microsoft stated it's not yet done with buying studios to expand their Microsoft studios. I like this question. Expand their team. What studio would you like to see get scooped up by Big Philly? Personally, I would say Ubisoft. Make a clean ship and throw out Egamo and every other scumbag that still works there and give the IPs they hold some new life. Give the IPs they hold some new life. Now, my answer would have been Bethesda, but lo and behold, they've bloody gone and done it. They've only gone and done it. Oh my God. I'm so happy about that because I do love Bethesda or historically loved Bethesda games. And I hope this is just the injection of new life that it needs, that the company needs in order to reinvigorate and revitalize the franchises. Hopefully Microsoft can push Bethesda in the right direction. So while I think of another one, do you have an answer?
I don't know. No, not really. I mean, Ubisoft is a cool choice in terms of, as you say, like revitalizing what Ubisoft is and making their games like good and getting a bit of creativity in there for stuff like Assassin's Creed and whatnot. But Ubisoft are so huge. They're their whole like their own level. Like they're up there with Activision and stuff. If they wanted to make their own console, their own machine, they probably could afford to. So if they did that, that's a huge win for them already. But I don't know who I'd want them to take. I think another, like an indie team would be cool. But I really don't know. Like, who's a studio that I'd like to see have a little bit more something? I don't know. I don't know. Could they buy Nintendo? I mean, is that a stretch? No, probably not. Valve? Could they buy Valve? Maybe someone like Activision. And make a proper war game that's not just multiplayer, kill streaks and killing everyone with rainbow coloured machine guns. Something like hard and like emotional, and people are going to fucking die, and take all those resources. And Call of Duty games, they are generally speaking well made. They're very, very pretty, and they're very, very technically impressive. So take all of that and make a proper great war game that's not just cinematic and explosions that you have to look at, but like actually engages you as a player. Take what you did with Halo and do it again with Call of Duty. Although they can't even do it again with Halo because they're still getting it wrong.
I would love them to buy EA. However, I'm going to be more specific and say BioWare, because BioWare has gone to shit under EA, and I think that seeing the Mass Effect series, Dragon Age series, as well as all the other IP that they've worked on or done in the past, I think that they could do wonders under a new parent company away from EA. Anyone away from EA, they could do great. I mean, what even is Anthem? What isn't it? Is Anthem? Why did EA force them to do that? That's just, I don't know, it's criminal based on the games in the past. BioWare, I'm going for.
I just realised I said Activision as a whole, as a publisher, but if I had to pick one specific studio, it would probably just be Respawn. Because Respawn are doing great, and they can keep doing Apex, which is doing pretty well. People seem to, generally, the talk around it seems to be happy. People are happy with what Apex is doing.
Yeah.
Just do, like, Titanfall 3. Do Titanfall again. Titanfall 2 was really fucking good.
There you go. Thanks for the question, tons. And moving on, the next for you to read is Gaboris.
Yeah,
it's the last question.
Okay, let's have something easy since I haven't been here in a while. What's your personal preference between playing a game on release day versus playing it as an actually completed edition in inverted commas, actually completed edition with all DLCs and patched out bugs? Let's not look at constraints like money, time, or hardware, but you can bring up pros and cons for both single and multiplayer games if you'd like. So, what's your personal preference between buying games on a release day and buying them after a little while when all the DLCs put together and they've ironed out any bugs and stuff? And I think I touched on this in one of the comments a while ago. I can't remember what the video was. But basically, similar to my stance on the next gen of consoles, I wouldn't buy things day one, ever, really. I'd buy them occasionally if it was something I really, really wanted. But most of the time, I just wait. You stand to lose nothing. I mean, you won't be in the conversation if you want to be on like Twitter and all that sort of stuff. But I never really bothered with that. I've never been a YouTube commenter. So I just wait. I'm fine with what I have, and it's always going to be better over time.
I mean, the prime example for me was I think one of the very first games that I always used to just buy games that I liked the look of. Never used to follow new releases or whatever. And it was only through working on here on YouTube, through this channel, that I got excited with new upcoming games because I was covering them all the time. It's like, oh yeah, No Man's Sky is coming out. No Man's Sky. Oh yeah, this game looks amazing. Let's buy No Man's Sky. Let's play it day one. Obviously, we all know how that turned out. Playing that game today is totally different. And it's a prime example of how if you wait after launch 1 year, even better than launch, 2 years, a lot better than launch, 3 years, 4 years down the line, you're talking, the game is almost completely different. And that's the benefit of, specifically in these multiplayer games that do continue to get supported after the fact. Obviously, day one bugs and stuff like that for the regular single player games. I didn't experience anything bad with Skyrim. I didn't buy it day one. My experiences are just the regular bullshit that you get with these Bethesda open world games. So I mean, yeah, that is that. I think we're in agreement here. It's always day one. Watch out. Buyer beware. Day one.
I think the only drawback of buying it after the fact will be for like a annual release multiplayer game like a Call of Duty, because if you buy it a year late, no one's playing it. If you're looking for the multiplayer side, because you jump into multiplayer, no one's going to be playing it, so they're already going to be on to the next one. So I think that's something most people would be aware of. But
that's the reason they do it, though, isn't it? That's the reason.
Exactly.
New one coming out in a few months, or in 12 months. If you don't play this now, you don't buy it now, then you're going to miss out on the whole. Yeah, it's
and it works. It works. It's clearly a very successful business model, but it doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, it's an absolute scam. But thanks everybody for your questions this week. You definitely delivered for me when I asked that of you in the Discord. For those of you who are Patreon members or YouTube channel members, want to ask us a question for next week, head to the Discord and look for the podcast questions channel, and we will answer them in next week's podcast. Now it is time to move on to the next segment, which is the Triggered Fanboy of the Week. So, Henry, you've got one this week. Are you going to read it out?
Yeah, so this one, I don't think he's a particularly triggered fanboy, but I think he's a bit of a fanboy, but I think he's just super fucking ignorant to everything that's been going on for the past few weeks.
This was the one that I almost decided to... This is the one that I thought, this could be a triggered fanboy, but yeah.
I don't know if it qualifies specifically for triggered fanboy, but I'm going to call him the ignorant fanboy, because he's definitely a fan. So this is from, I think it was maybe last week's podcast. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was on that. And it's from a guy called Left Only. Where in the hell are your so-called guitar lessons? I've been checking every day for over 2 months now and nothing. But you have uploaded gaming videos regularly. What's happening? You're crying out for money and that's all I can say. Such a waste of time and such a waste of talent.
Wow.
So that last line is I'm not angry, I'm disappointed.
The heart, yeah.
You're super talented, but you're not using it. You're shit.
What the fuck is this guy? He's so ignorant. This guy.
Where in the hell are your so-called guitar lessons? So, I mean, it's been on every fucking channel you own about everything that's been going on with all the copyright stuff. I'm checking every day for 2 months now and nothing, which isn't even true because you did. I checked. You've done the Right Here Waiting Richard Marx acoustic fingerstyle thing, which was a week ago, according to YouTube. I don't know what day it is exactly. Yeah. And then before that, you did the Man That Can't Be Moved one on the 30th of August, which really isn't that long ago. It's only the 8th of October at the time of recording. So clearly, you've not been checking that fucking hard.
I mean, in the last 7 months since lockdown began, I've generated easily around 50 new videos on that channel. We're talking high production value guitar lessons and guitar covers. This guy comes along out of nowhere and starts throwing unsubstantiated claims that I'm not generating content on that and that I'm uploading gaming videos regularly. I do once a week a podcast on this channel now.
I am doing everything else.
Because, I mean, that's how it works currently. And this guy's slating me because I've had to take every single guitar lesson that I've made for 8 years. I've had to remove from YouTube. I'm currently, I mentioned it earlier, I've been spending the last 7 days orchestrating the rebuild of that. I mean, having all the videos re-edited, building a database of where these videos are, uploading my tabs so that there's just a shitstorm of things going on for me right now. Like I said, I haven't had a break in days and days and days. And this guy comes out of nowhere throwing this bullshit around because he's so ignorant he doesn't know what's going on. I'm so surprised that there are people like this out there.
Yeah.
Who just are so confident in their own ignorance. It's... How can they not... How can he not know what's going on?
If you've been checking every day for over 2 months, you'll fucking see that there's videos about everything. It's like why you've been absent and why everything's changing. It's pretty fucking obvious, mate. Like I don't. Yeah. This is why he's not triggered. He's not particularly like, oh my god, you're a fucking piece of shit. But he's just totally ignorant, and he seems to have been a fan because clearly he wants the lessons, and he says you are talented.
And just the entitlement, though, right? Everything I've ever produced has been free. All my guitar lessons are free. Years and years of content. Going through all the list, the amount of effort that I've gone to all these videos, and this is premium stuff, right? We're talking, I explain things in these lessons in more detail than you'll get in any other guitar lesson, maybe even everywhere. Every single note, every single movement you make with your hands, I explain that in painstaking detail in the videos, and I don't charge a single penny, and I've done that for almost 10 years. And this guy comes along and says, where's the fucking videos, twat? I'm like, are these people real? Are these people actually real?
What fantasy world do they live in? I'd like to live there, please, where everything revolves around you. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
There you go. What a prick. Let's move on. Let's move on to some less stupid comments.
I've got a few comments here that I think are quite good. But so I'll start with this one, which a mild sort of spoiler warning on this, I suppose. Well, maybe not mild, maybe just spoiler warning for Ghost of Tsushima. If you've made it to the last island, you're fine. Keep watching. But if you haven't, don't. And if you don't care, keep watching. Like do whatever the fuck you want. So this was about Ghost of Tsushima getting an update, which is adding some multiplayer stuff and some new armor dyes to make it look different, and also a new horse, which is like black with red mane. It looks pretty cool. So this guy put Korinoka Trash for Life with the number 4 because he's cool. Says, yes, new game plus. Very excited about that. So my heart can be broken again by losing my horse and friends. So that one got me because I almost put in the video that this horse he's not good enough. No one can replace Nobu because you can pick your horse's name and like color pattern thing at the beginning, and the motherfucker dies. He gets shot, and it's devastating because it's like the last kind of push it's the lowest point in Jin's like story arc. He's right at the bottom and he dies. Then you get some other shitty one for a while, and then eventually you get a new one. You can pick its color and you pick its new name. I think so. Nobu was grey and he was great, and then my next one was Kaze, I think, and he was black. Or was he? No, I think he was white. Yeah, he was white. And now the new one is black and red, but none of them will replace Nobu. Rip Nobu. I'll still visit your grave in the game, which is a great little Easter egg as well. Where he dies, he buries him, and you can go back there and he'll comment on it, and he'll say like, "Oh, you did well, old friend," or something like that. So I'm with you. My heart can be broken again.
I'm all sad now.
But no one will replace Nobu.
Yeah. There you go. Let's move on to something slightly funnier and more juvenile. I've got a comment here from Michael Boys, and I've only chosen this because I'm a little kid at heart. And he's commenting on the Joy-Con drift video that he made the other day. Great videos as always, Henry. Oh, as for Joy-Con drift, yes, it's a pain in the arse. My wife's left Joy-Con had it. And that's where I lost my shit. I'm only halfway through the comment, but that's where I had to read this out because I don't know. There's something with Joy-Con in my head that I associate with a female pleasure device. So the fact that my wife's left Joy-Con had it, it's like, I don't know. In my head, like I said, I'm very juvenile, and that's thanks for the question anyway. The comment anyway, Michael Boys. He continues. In a more serious note, we were both a bit miffed when our character in Animal Crossing was moving by itself. Not good. Nintendo really needs to sort this crap out. It's a serious comment, and I just turned it into
Nintendo
a juvenile.
Fix my wife's Joy-Con.
left Joy-Con. My wife's left
right
Joy-Con.
Oh god. Okay, where's my next one? I thought it was this one. This one was interesting. So this was on the Star Wars, not Rogue Squadron. Fucking hell, it's not that. Star Wars Squadrons review roundup video, which I think was on Friday last week. And this person said, I just want a good single-player game. And they got 16 likes, so a lot of people seem to agree. Now, obviously, on this channel, we're generally more pro single-player than multiplayer, just personal preferences. But I thought this one was interesting because if he's talking specifically about Star Wars stuff, we have had one. Literally last year, Jedi Fallen Order. I think it's a bit overrated. I think people say it's brilliant just because it's the first fairly decent Star Wars game in a long time. But so there you go. There's a Star Wars one. But even if you're not talking about Star Wars, there's been loads this year. And someone commented back, same, I've been trying to find one for the past year or so. This drought is awful. People are saying there's a drought. I'm not fucking seeing it. Like, my 3 games of the year, Doom, Ghost of Tsushima, and Hades, they're all very different. So they're all slightly different genres. They're all brilliant single-player games. Like, what are you on about? And then you've got Resident Evil 3's all right as well. I'd say it's good. It's just not as good as 2. Final Fantasy 7's really good. Although there's big ending controversy and all that. What else come out this year that's been big?
Crusader Kings 3
Man Eater's
for me.
really good. Crusader Kings 3. Carrion's really good. I'm just trying to think of games that I have played, and there's a bunch that I haven't played. Like Tell Me Why is meant to be really good. It's like a narrative-driven, story-based kind of like a Telltale type thing. That's meant to be really good. There's loads of stuff.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff. And there's loads of older stuff that really stands up and is great. Like, pick any game of the year for the last 5 years and you'll have a good time. Anyway.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just think it's funny because I see this kind of thing a lot. So I just want good single player games. I'm like, yeah, me too. We're getting them. They still exist.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then Last of Us. What you might love it. You might really fucking hate it. Yeah, but The Last of Us is one as well. So have you got any more comments?
So I got another one on the Nintendo Joy-Con drifting thing. So there's 2 comments in one here, and they just happen to be above and below each other. Although they weren't replying to one another, they kind of work well together. So the first one was SS. He said, I've bought lots of Joy-Cons over the years, probably spent around 400 or 500 on them. Fuck my life, they last 1 month at most. I mean, obviously, you need to get some WD-40 on that. So, spending that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money to spend on Joy-Cons just because they drift, dude. I mean, it's like, if you get... Oh, I don't know. Anyway, the next... The next comment kind of sums it up pretty well. Anarchy Chef 2 says, it's called Joy-Con. It's in the name. Think about it. And yeah, literally, this guy's been conned into buying 400 or 500 on them. You're talking, that's 10, 11 different Joy-Cons, maybe even more. Wow.
And I mean, I'm certain I've made that exact joke before, and that's the reason I didn't make it again. Because I don't want to make the same thing. And it's really obvious. But yeah, you're right. It's a con, and it doesn't bring you much joy. But I have, 2 left. One will lead me to the others. So this is on last week's podcast, and it's from Alfonso. Guys, it's always fun to see stupid comments, but it was interesting to see some good comments there. Maybe you should make a best comment of the week. So best comment of the week, it's not like a segment or anything that I plan to do, but I would try to bring in some good ones every now and then. And I don't just want appreciation ones saying, oh, I've done a good job, because that's always nice, but I'm often looking for something a little different. So I've got 2 here. Fortunately, they're both kind of close together in the same video. It's on the Joy-Con video again. First one, love the show, keep it up. See there? That's nice. Thank you very much. Love reading those kind of comments. Just makes you feel a little bit good inside. And then a comment further down, which I think is a good comment, because I think it's interesting, is from Reese Carter. Says, I'm putting it out there. The first Resident Evil film is alright, man. And this is because... So the other story in the video was about Resident Evil getting another new movie. And I touched on it because in the past I haven't touched on it. The Resident Evil movies are pretty shit. They range from, it's kind of shit but kind of fun, to really, really dog shit. Why is this a fucking thing? And I've said it in the past. I've said pretty much that in the past. And people have said, people need to stop giving the Resident Evil movies such a hard time. They're quite fun. So this time I said something like, I really enjoy the first one, and I'm glad this person does as well, because the first Resident Evil movie, it is a good little...
First one's good, I agree.
Action sort of sci-fi. It's not scary or anything, but yeah, good little action thing. So long as you switch the part in your brain off that hears Resident Evil and thinks the game. They are not the fucking same. I think in that one, they don't even share named characters. I think Jill is in the second one, along with Carlos. Claire's in the third one. They name drop people who are completely different in personality and looks to whoever they're supposed to be. I remember in one of them, they hired a model who just looks a lot like Leon. Guy cannot fucking act. He's not an actor. He's a model. He's got swoopy hair. That's it. Brilliant. You're Leon. But yeah, the first one, I legitimately think it's a good film. I enjoy it. I mean, I think it's good, but I understand that it's not a good film. You know what I mean? It's not like an Oscar-y award-winning film, but I like it. It's fun. And Mila Jovovich is really good to look at. I mean, if I want to watch a film with a strong female lead, she fits the bill.
She's not bad looking. I'll agree with you there. I mean, I do like the first movie, and then the second movie, and then I don't know. It kind of tailed off from me, but when it comes to action movies, I'm just so bored of the tropes. It's just so predictable. And there's like, especially these days, they're all like really fast cut, and it's like, I know what's gonna. I know you're not gonna die. You're not gonna. No, you're obviously gonna kill him. The chase scenes are the worst. Don't get me started. Chase scenes.
Right. Fortunately, that's my last comment. So
I've got another comment, but okay, I'll run through this one quickly. So, in line with the a couple of ones that you read then. Rob says, the best gaming news video on my subscription feed. So I hearted that one. So that was
thanks, buddy.
That was a nice one. And I totally agree. The last one is to do with Odyssey, which was one of the new platforms we're on. William Stitt says, Odyssey is shit. Tried to use it just now, not letting me log in, all about keys and asking me for keys to try to use their email. Help they went on about, sorry, we're experiencing high level demand. Yeah, I'm out. Remember that these are very new platforms and they're trailing by 13 years plus behind YouTube. I think YouTube was... How long has YouTube been around? Since 2001?
Launched in 2005, but they were working on it obviously before that. I think it went public in 2005. I might be wrong, but...
So, yeah, YouTube is miles ahead. Don't expect these platforms to be highly populated or bug-free.
2005.
You just have to be patient with them. And I think if you support these platforms and give them room to grow, that's why I've gone and I'm wholly supporting both of these, because if we support them as creators, then there's enough content there for viewers to come and watch, and it just elevates these two a little bit more. And like I said, with YouTube having a monopoly, it can do what the hell it likes and it doesn't have to worry about any competitors. And it's the same thing with the console kind of wars thing. If one company steps out of line and does something really anti-consumer, then the other one can just be the polar opposite of that and just gain loads of followers and loads of, and then obviously there's a huge deterrence for them doing something really anti-consumer, really bad. At the moment, YouTube can do what the hell it likes because there's no blowback, which is why I think that we have to give these platforms the time and effort and just some patience and help them nurture them and grow them. And I think just be patient, dude. I know this is the modern age and the internet. You want everything right now and you want everything brilliant right now. It's not going to be like that. But this is. I just want to go a little bit into my rationale there of why it's important that this needs to be supported. So there you go. I think that rounds up our comments this week, and there's only one section remaining. This is the bad dad joke of the week. What do you call a fear of giants, Henry?
I don't know. What do you call a fear of giants?
Fee-fi phobia.
That's quite good. I like that.
That's all right. I've got another one, and this is a person speaking. So this is Robin speaking. Batman Robin. The Batmobile isn't starting, Batman says. Did you charge the battery? Robin says. What the hell is it? Terry?
Did you charge the bat Terry? Because Batman has bat in front of everything. Yeah. You butchered that one, but
I am very sorry.
There's a good joke in there.
Yeah, I didn't read it beforehand. That was the problem. Okay, very last one then. Hopefully this is good. The best safe word to use during sex is meatloaf, because it means I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Yeah, that sure makes sense.
I've had the tin, Henry. We've expended the tin. You're not laughing at them. No, you're not even laughing at the bad jokes on.
Well, because that's led me on to a thought. When I was in uni, like sharing houses with people, the rule was that if anyone was coming to like knock on someone's door and whoever was inside was perhaps under inconvenienced, let's say, you'd scream bananas at them. And it never happened often because we were just a bunch of fucking losers. But I remember once there was an older girl living with us. I think she was like 25, and I think we were all about 22. And she was there. She had the biggest room as well, so we'd normally just hang out in there. And once we were all like ready to go, and she screamed it at the top of her voice. We're like, okay, we're gonna go hang out in the kitchen.
Cool.
So that's a fun little anecdote for you.
There you go.
Use bananas.
I guess we'll leave on that one then. I was going to read another one, but that was a good place to leave the show this week. And that is it. That is the end of your fun and games for another week. We will be back next week. on here on YouTube, as well as here on Utreon, because you could be watching this on Utreon, or here on Odyssey. Like I said, we're on all these platforms, and you can watch them right now. You can watch us right now on those platforms. So all that remains is for me to say, please support us on Patreon if you want to see us continue, because it's really important to us. Thank you very much. Patreon.com/PrettyGoodGaming. And goodbye. Thanks for watching. On behalf of Henry and myself, we'll see you again next week. Until then, bye for now.